Well, hello again. It's the OhioRAAM show. We're coming to you from Southwest Ohio, and today we're visiting the great country of Austria, where a lot of ultra-cyclists find themselves home and come from. And we'll be talking about those people here in just a few minutes. But this show is sponsored by the two time stations in Ohio, Oxford, and Lancaster, the first two time stations you come to, where we have 24-hour staffs. When we say we have 24-hour food, 24-hour fuel, and 24-hour fans. So if you happen to be coming through as a rider or a crew or an official or just a fan, 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the evening, there'll be somebody there for you. And those of you who are fans or potential fans, we believe that our time stations are a great place to come and see the race, because there's always somebody there to tell you and update you as to what's going on, and to help those of you who are new to this whole crazy sport of ultracycling to understand a bit more about it. So if you're in the Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky area, we've had people from as far away as Arkansas drop into our time stations in the past, but that's a bit of a stretch. But we're there for you to help you, whether you're a fan, a racer, a crew, or what have you, and we love doing this, and this show is a part of that whole service that we offer. Well, I need to say one more thing while we're at it, though. We always want to mention Mike Minium, who puts out the signs along the road to help guide you through all those crazy twists and turns we seem to have here in Ohio, and everybody who always mentions the signs. Thank you, Mike Minium there in Oxford, for doing this. You reach into your own pocket, and someday we're going to have to find out a way to compensate you a little bit for that, but we appreciate what you do. Well, with that, I want to introduce myself, Lee Kreider. I am the host of this show, and we are now in show number 61, at least by my count. I don't know if that's right or not, but let's say it is. Just a bit of news before we get to our guests. I suppose most everybody watching the show know this by now, but we just want to reach out to our very good friend, Severin Burbling, in Australia. He's been on the show any number of times, and we love to have Steve on the show, and I'm going to try to arrange to get him back on here, maybe in the midst of some other guests or what have you. I don't even know what to say here, but Steven has had so much hard luck. He rode 2 years in a four-person team in the Race Across America. And then in 2013, he planned to do solo, had a collision with another bike, and that took him out in 2013. 2014, and I hope I got my facts right here. I apologize, Stephen, if I don't get them quite right, but I believe he was sideswiped by an automobile, broke a leg, which ended his solo ambitions, but as fate would have it, he was able to fill a spot that was vacated on the Twisted Swisters team. So he was able to ride in a four-person team, and I got to have a nice, lovely chat with him person to person down in Blanchester. And of course, Stephen was training and preparing to be that solo ride in 2015, wanting to be the very first person who was known to be HIV positive to finish it as a solo rider. Well, he was in a race in Perth a couple of weeks ago, was run off the road by a truck, and as best I can recall his information, it broke the ball off of the top of his femur in his leg, and that had to be replaced, and he's recovering now. Stephen, we know you watch the show. We know how much you've been a supporter of this show in so many ways, and we appreciate you. And I know that the entire Race Across America family and the endurance cycling family just want to reach out to you, Stephen, and wish you well, heal well. I don't know. It seems like in these surgeries they work miracles anymore, and I don't know if you're out of 2015 or not. But we intend to see you back here as a solo writer someday, somehow. Stick with it, Stephen. We're all behind you. So with that, I am going to turn to our guests from Austria, who seem to be having better luck than Stephen. I want to first of all introduce Severin Zotter, who will be racing as a solo male in the under 50 category. From where are you at in Austria, Severin?
I'm from Graz, in the southeast of our country. You know, same country, Christoph Strasser, Franz Price, many cyclists come from here.
I was going to say, I thought I'd heard that name before associated with some rather well-known RAM cyclist, and so you come from a strong tradition, and but this is your rookie year as a solo rider, isn't that true, Severin?
Yeah, it's my year. My first time as a participant on the road.
But you were a crew member back in, when was that? Tell me about.
It was back in 2005. I was in the crew of Alex Gapp, who was like a friend of mine from school and who participated in 2005. I think 24 years young that time, and finished the race. And I could follow him in the car and work in his night shift.
Okay, now Severin, tell me a little bit about yourself outside of the world of cycling, who you are, what you do, anything you'd like to share with us. We'll get into plenty of talk about cycling, but other than that.
Well, in my normal life, I'm working as a social worker. I do outreach work for drug-addicted people for the Caritas. I think you also have the Caritas in the States. It's like a church organization helping people, and we do like harm reduction projects. We try to give clean syringes and needles to drug-addicted people to help them to stay healthy, to prevent HIV and hepatitis, and just to help them to keep a better life, or better life, maybe go to therapy, but just basically just to survive their addiction. Besides, I live together with my girlfriend. I live in the center. I also work as a bike courier for like 14 years. It's like still a bit my second job, and it's also like my basic for cycling. Yeah, I like to meet people. I like to travel a bit. All around, there are many points around cycling. Well, my life without cycling, but yeah, that's basically it.
Well, it sounds like you keep yourself very busy there with all those kind of things. And as we said, you come from a great tradition there in Graz, Austria, with a lot of friends and a lot of competition. So now, I was looking over your results here, and I had them all printed out, but we've had a little bit of a fracas going on here around our household regarding our dog, who's currently at the veterinarian's. So things are a little bit discombobulated here. Does that word mean anything to you in Austria, discombobulated?
I've never heard it before. Maybe you can explain it.
Well, it means all mixed up. You know, everything coming from every direction at once. So, now I should say, Severin, this doesn't affect you at all, but we're getting just a little bit of out of sync between your voice and your picture. That's just what happens here on the internet sometimes. It's nothing to do with what's going on in your end. So it's not at all a problem, but when you see this, you're going to notice that there's a little bit of lag sometimes. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Severin, I was reading over, as I started to say before I interrupted myself, about your ultra cycling career, which I believe, according to that, started back about 12 years ago, did it not? When you were, what, 20?
Yes, more or less when I was 20. For me, it started even a year earlier when my friend Alex Gapp, who did RAM in 2005, asked me if I want to do a 400K ride. It was not a race, but we just did a very long ride. And this was actually the first thing I did on like long distance cycling. And I had my first race in 2002 at the OhioRAAM Trophy in eastern Austria. It was in a team, a 4-persons man team, on a 45 kilometers lap, and it was a great experience. Yeah. And next year in 2003, I did my first solo 24 hours as well at the OhioRAAM Trophy, and I could finish in 3rd position with 750 kilometers, but it was just a very flat course with no drafting. It was the start of my cycling career, actually.
Well, you have quite a long list there, and like I said, in the process of it, I found it, voila, or as I say, Walla Walla, Washington. Yeah, let me scan over this real quick because I didn't have a chance before we got started. Yeah, 2012, you just mentioned some races that everybody here in the United States and around the world knows. Race around Slovenia, we were 4th. And again, just going down through here quickly. Well, let's jump on down to 2014 when you placed 1st in the Tortour. And tell me about that race, what it's about for those of you who don't know, and how that went for you.
The Tortour is like the race around Switzerland. It's about 1,000 kilometers and 13,000 meters of climbing. It's more or less around whole Switzerland. We didn't go down to Geneva, but it was the start and finish line was up in Schaffhausen, close to the German border. And we had the prologue the day before. It was just like, I think 800 meters with 50 meters uphill, so everybody had to sprint, and you also already could win some time there. So the first person of the prologue could start as first in the race, and it was already race time. So we started o'clock in the night, and it began very flat, like the first 180 kilometers in Switzerland are really flat there. Nobody would believe before, but it's along the Austrian border as well. And yeah, I started and I tried not to overpace at the beginning, to find a good rhythm, find a good feeling. The start was middle in the night, not going too fast. And the morning around 7 o'clock, I think we came to Chur, and there the mountains began. There was the first 3 passes, like everybody knows who likes skiing, Lenzerheide in Switzerland, up to the pass and down again, and then there's some more passes, the Albula Pass and the Fluella Pass, I already knew from the race across the Alps. And I think it was around position 5 or so when we did this hills, and yeah, I got some problems with my digestion. I had to go to toilet sometimes. I lost some time. I wasn't too satisfied, but I thought just go on my pace, not too fast, not too slow. I didn't want to lose more than 2 hours on Marco Barlow, who is a very fast starter. And then we went on to the Oberalp, the next pass, and then the highest point in the race on how is it called? Martin, can you help me? The Furka Pass. So the Furka Pass, it's on 2,400 meters, and we had some snow up there for the last 300 meters, and it was pretty cold, and it was got wet, and I had to change clothes at the top, and it was starting getting dark again. Yeah, I had to change clothes, start downhill. It was very cold, and I was just even thinking of quitting the race because very dangerous, slippy road. But well, it was half an hour later or so. Roads began to dry up. It got warmer, up to 15 degrees or so, and still could start in the night. My team was motivating me, playing good music on the radio, and yeah, and I think there was the time I started to catch up to the riders at the front. And yeah, when was it? I think it was somewhere in the morning the next day, around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. I could uh, ride up to Marco Polo and still head-to-head with the Italian guy, Di Felice, and it was pretty funny then because it was like 50 kilometers before the finish line. We were head-to-head. I've never experienced this in a 1,000 kilometers race that three persons are head-to-head just like some 2 hours or 3 hours before the finish line. So it was a pretty hard fight, and really pushed hard, like 40 kilometers per hour on the flat roads. And yeah, in the end I had good luck. Di Felice had a time penalty, and Marco Bala was really, don't know, he had not good race in the end. He was doing great race at the beginning, and in the end he lost a bit speed, and I think he wasn't doing too well. So yeah, we lost him a bit before, and in the end I had better luck.
And it was Marco second. I remember seeing the results, but
yeah, Marco got second because like the Italian guy Di Felice got disqualified in the end.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Why I got disqualified? Well, in the end, they didn't accept that I was first because he was like just some meters for me before me on the finish line, but he had 15 minutes time penalty. And crew members of him ran on stage and shouted on me and shouted on the race, and the race organizers said it's just not okay, and they took him out of the race afterwards.
Yeah, well, in these long races, that close a call is not too common, and usually time penalties don't even factor in. But when you run into a situation like that, it does cause for some tension at times and some controversy. I just like to say, you know, I'm not a racer, never raced, but cycling the mountains, I never liked descending. And I always enjoyed the climb, but the descents just scared your living bejeebers out of me. But and for those, we do have people watch the show that don't do a lot of cycling. You have to understand that in these high mountain passes, when you get to the top, you're hot and you're perspired, and yet you're going to start descending at very high speeds, and of course the wind chill factor is very significant, and you get very cold, so you wind up putting often all the clothing you have on for that descent, and then about maybe a few minutes later you start to warm up and you have to take them off again. But it's kind of an interesting, this is just for people that haven't done that sort of thing, but the idea of descending an alpine pass in the dark, in the cold, with wet roads, given my dislike for descents in the first place, that just kind of makes it an interesting experience. Well, you know, I just have to say, Severin, when I printed off your sheet of results here, of course, you have it on your website in German, and I just let Google translate them however it would, and it translated torture into ordeal. I guess it can be an ordeal, can it?
Ordeal.
Ordeal, yes. I don't know if you know what that pick up that word in English, but ordeal. Well, it was originally, you know, like in the Spanish Inquisition, to get the truth out of you, they stretched you on the rack or something like that. That was what ordeals were. But that's okay. I guess it.
They play with the name, the Tortour, the Tour, like the Tour de France. Yeah. whatever.
It's
Yeah, exactly.
okay,
But I play with this. Yeah.
it's a play on words. Okay, let's forget
Yes.
that. No, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. And I also noticed that last year in 2013, you were second in the race around Austria, um, and that's another one of those great endurance races uh, there. And you have ridden in the race around Slovenia. I see you DNF this year. That's not uncommon there. But you did was fourth in 2012. So that's and I guess the Slovenians put on a great race as well.
Yes, the race around Slovenia is like was actually the first 1,000 kilometers race I did in 2011, and was just a dry in 11. But I said I want to come back and I want to do it better, and I trained hard for 2012, and I really loved this race. So many racers, so many people on the start and finish line. Such a great atmosphere all around the country in Slovenia. People are so enthusiastic about this race, and also the course in the country, it's really unique there. And I could catch the fourth place, which was my I didn't even dream about it the year before. It's really, I think there were about 60 starters or so. So there are many people racing there, especially Slovenian people, but also guys from Austria, like Christoph Strasser won this year, Eduard Fuchs became fifth, Joachim Ladler sixth from Austria. So Marco Barlow became, I think, second that year. So it's good competition, and I think fourth place in Slovenia is really good.
Well,
so that was actually the time where I decided I want to do more of these races, because it really makes fun, and I figured out I can really go at the front places for longer races.
Of course, Slovenia is the home territory for Marco, and the Slovenians, they take their sport seriously, do they not?
Yes, they do. That's everything's perfectly organized there. Yes.
Well, let's get over here to Martin, your crew chief. How are you doing there today, Martin? Are you the same city, or are you somewhere else?
No, I'm in the same city. I've been working in the same company, but for 21 years already as a bike messenger. Now mainly in the office. Yes. Did also a couple of 24 hours races in team, and quite a few as a solo rider, but well, it's nothing for me. Did a 24-hour race in a team this year. That's enough.
Okay. Now you're going to be crew chief, and have you crewed for Severin before, Martin?
Yes, I was with him at every single race he did since 2011. Yeah.
And so, how big a crew do you plan to have for this year's RAAM 2015?
We're about 8 now, I think. Yes, but we are still getting the people together. The crew isn't complete yet.
Okay. And are all of them from Austria, or do you have a?
I think yes, they are all from Austria, but one of us is now in Australia. The former crew chief of Alex Gepp, Mike. What's his? Yeah.
Mike Grubinger.
Grubinger. Grubinger, thank you. The former crew chief of Alex Gepp is now in Australia. Yes, but I think an entirely Styrian crew.
Okay, and how soon do you plan to get to the United States? Are you going to be able to do any training or practicing with your crew here before the race?
Yeah, we had practice at the Tortour or at the race around Austria, so the crew is mainly the same. I will go to the States with Severin a week before the race starts, and the crew about 2 or 3 days before.
Okay, so you've got a team that's pretty well. They know one another and have worked together before. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. And Severin is really easy to take care of. It seems like the biggest concern of him is that the crew is fine during the race. He always asks, "Are you fine? Are you having fun? Are you all right? Do we eat enough?" And so on. He does
Well,
our job.
it sounds like Severin understands the role of the crew there. You know, they're a make or break group.
Yeah,
Severin, how are you training for RAM 2015? You doing anything different? What's your plans in that regard?
I don't exactly know now. I just know I reduce work. I work at the moment 30 hours a week, and I reduced to 19 hours from January, so I have more time to train and to organize. I did now this year between 15 and 22 hours of training a week, and it will be a bit more next year, I think, up to 25 hours probably, but not much more. I had a good way. I became better every year the last years, so I just try to just do a bit more, not to overdo it, not to too much. Can also be dangerous that you get problems with your knees, whatever. And I think I'm in a good way. So I also do like quite a bit of intensive training and high-level training. Yeah. Well, the rest I have to discuss with my trainer actually. So I don't know everything yet what I will do, but I will probably take off work for 3 weeks just to go training, maybe to some island like Mallorca or Gran Canaria. I don't exactly know now.
Okay. And as you think about, you've been across the United States as a crew member.
Yes.
Let me ask you, as you think about the race and all the challenges along it from the West Coast to the East Coast, what parts of it are you most concerned about? Do you think about the most, or you wake up at night and wonder how you're going to do there? What's your biggest concerns?
My biggest concerns. First of all, I hope that I can really start in a good shape, really healthy, not to get sick before the race. It's so much stress going to the States, the flight, all the organization before, the different climate, everything. So there's always a high risk of getting like sick before the race, and I hope that I'm in a just a normal shape. That would be perfect, and that's what I'm a bit well nervous about. And during the race, I like 4 years ago, I would have always said I never go to RAM because like I have so much respect of just a long time on the bike with really little sleep in total, and that's what I still have big respect for. But I also had experience in the race around Austria that I can go 4 days on a bike with just about 3 hours of sleep. So it's changing now, and since the Duo, I'm really looking forward to the race, and I think it can also get good fun, but I also have big respect of the distance, and especially of the mountains in the end, the Appalachians. I think they can get really difficult when you're tired, when you're really, when there's not much, when you don't have any substance left to cycle. Yeah, I think this will be the hardest thing. Well, and also, maybe the high mountains, I have a bit problems with my lung always, so it can be dangerous for me, the thin air there, but I'm working on this thing.
Yeah, you don't get as high in the passes in the Alps, do you? As you get here in our
Yeah,
Colorado Rockies.
I think the Wolf Creek Pass is 3,300 meters, and the highest I've done here was 2,700, so it's 600 meters higher there, and it's quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah, and there's a point in the mountains. I have to translate that into the metric system, but there's a point I always figured around 8,500, 9,000 feet where it just seems like you make a big change. The air gets thinner and everything becomes much harder.
Yeah, that's probably so. I have no cycling experience on this altitude, but what I'm always doing is some like backcountry skiing on high mountains in Austria up to 3,300, 3,500 meters. So I will probably do this in April also just to drain a bit the altitude, and so yeah. I hope it will work out, and you don't stay that long time on this high altitude.
Yeah, yeah, and you have a chance to work up to them. I find that when you drive across the mountains in an automobile at those speeds, it affects you more than when you're on a bicycle because you are climbing more gradually, and you'll be climbing across the high desert and then on into Utah and eastern and western Colorado. So you come at it a little more gradually, but I think you're right. I think everybody recognizes that the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia are the real challenge, and more than one person has found that that's been what has done them in. That plus the fact that when a race is over, you ask people, and they almost always say, "What's the hard part?" They say, "The winds in Kansas." And, that could be a hard thing. Martin, we're just so glad to have you with us here. We wish you well with your crew. We hope things go very well for you, and it sounds like you've got a good crew and you're well organized. And you're right. You're probably your number one job is to look after the crew, and your number two job is look after Severin there. But we wish you the very best. Before we say goodbye here, do you have anything you'd like to share with us before you go?
Not now. Thanks a lot for the invitation, and I hope we see you on the road next year.
Well, I can't promise that. I can't be there for everybody. I used to do that, but not anymore. Age and some other things got the better of me. Martin, glad to have you with us. How would you like to say goodbye to us here? And what's on your mind?
Yeah, I've never been to the United States. I'm looking forward to it. Such a long race. I did it with Severin, and it's an honor. 3 years ago, it was a joke that we would once go to the RAM, and now it's reality. It's strange.
Well, we want to welcome you to the United States for the first time, and I think you're going to find that the RAM family is a very welcoming group, and we'll do everything we can to make that a pleasant visit. And we thank you for being with us. Thank you, Severin, for taking some time to be with us this evening. And before we go here, we want to have a few odds and ends we want to deal with. This is the OhioRAAM show. You can find a lot more information about us if you're watching us on YouTube or some other location at OhioRAAMshow.com. While you're there, there's a couple websites that you'll find links to that we want to recommend to you. The OhioRAAM.org, that's the website for the time stations of Oxford and Blanchester. Of course, the official website for the Race Across America is raceacrossamerica.org. And I have to say that this show is not affiliated officially with the Race Across America organization. And I can hear Fred Bothling breathe a sigh of relief when he hears me say that. But that is you'll find that on the website, and then you'll also find a link to ultraracenews.com, the online e-magazine, which has all kinds of information about ultra racing. Plus, when you look at the website and you look at Severin's video here, in the show notes right below the video, you will see a link to his website, so you could follow that there. So you don't need to remember all these sites. They'll be there at one place at the OhioRAAMshow.com. Just go there and you'll find all of them. And while you're there, we would appreciate it if you would give us a +1 there on Google, or if you see us on Facebook, a like or a share. Anything you do like that enhances the viewership of the show, which makes me feel good, of course, but that's not so important, as it helps to spread the word about ultra-cycling. We have people who have stumbled onto this show who never heard of ultra-cycling, never heard of the Race Across America, and have become fans. At least 2, I think. Oh, no, more than that. But when you do that, that helps get the word out there that there is a race across America. There are such things as ultra racers, crazy as they may seem, and we enjoy doing that. Also, while you're there at the website, if you'd like to sign up for an email to get notifications of future shows when they're posted, you can do that. The email won't be shared with anyone else. And if you have any comments or suggestions or questions, it's a little late here. We thank you, Severin, for being here. And Martin, we're happy to have you here with us as well. And we're happy to have all of you who are out there as viewers. We appreciate every last one of you. You tell me how much you do enjoy the show, and every time I go somewhere, people do. I appreciate that a great deal. Keeps me moving here. Thank you, and we'll see you again in about a week. Bye-bye.